Hello guys, welcome once again to the Have a Lab. My name is Babatunde Arolo, and today we're going to be talking about finding the absolute value of a number. So what the absolute value of what this kind of question mean, what this don't look at this as it's not a big deal, right? So whenever you see something like this, like a question like this, like these type of lines, right? Think about just know you're going to be working with the number inside, right? And that number inside, what you're going to do is you're going to count how many steps it takes for that number to get to a zero, right? So we know how the number line works. Works from minus infinity to zero to infinity, right? So that's basically just saying from minus the smallest negative number you can think of. Just think of that, as it goes from minus, right? Okay, let's say we start from minus 5. Let's start from minus 5. So minus 5 goes from minus 5, minus 4, minus 3, minus 2, minus 1 before it gets to 0, right? Because after minus 1, 0 next. And then it gets to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it gets to positive numbers, right? So that's how it is here, right? We're just going to count how many steps it takes for all these to get to a 0. So if we're working from minus, we're going to start from minus side all the way to 0. And if we're working for positive, we're going to start from positive side all the way to 0. So let's take a look at the first question. First question says minus 10, right? So we're going to have to count how many steps it takes for minus 10 to get to 0. And so to do that, you're gonna have to you just have to like write down how minus 10, like the how minus 10 works on up onto 0, right? So minus 10 is the smallest number here, right? So the next biggest number is minus 9. You agree? Because minus 10 is smaller than minus 9, right? Because it goes from in a negative in any number in numbers dealing with negatives, right? It kind of goes from negative. It kind of goes from the biggest digits. Like if you look at this number in a positive set, 10 is bigger than 9, right? But in the negative, it kind of goes from the bigger digits to the smaller digits, right? So let's say we're looking at minus 4, right? The example I said earlier, it goes from minus 4 to minus 3, then minus 2, and then minus 1, and then 0. Right? It's the same thing in here. We're going to be working from minus 10, minus 9, minus 8, minus 7. It's kind of like a bomb or counting backwards. Just kind of think of it like that. Yeah. So let's look at this. This is with negative. That's how we're going to be working. It's going to have the biggest number as this, as in this case, this is 10, right? It's going to have this kind of number as smallest number. So the digit that's the biggest, which is 10 here, is going to be the smallest one since we're working with a negative, right? So this is negative 10, negative 9. Then the next biggest number, next negative 8, negative 7, negative 6, negative 5, negative 4, negative 3, negative 2, negative 1 before it gets to 0, right? So we're going to have to count the amount of steps it takes for here to here before it gets to this 0, right? And so when we count those steps, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It took us 10 steps, right? So we had to increase 10 by by 1 every time to get to 0, right? So that would be a 10. And so the same thing for 4. Try to pause the video and see if you kind of understood it, if you want to put in your knowledge, right? So let's look at this. This is from 0 to 4, right? So for us to get from 0 to 4, we're gonna have from for us to get from 4 to 0. Sorry, for us to get to 4 to 0, we're gonna have to start from 4 because we're reducing, right? Because it's 4 is bigger than 0. Be 4, comma 3, comma 2, comma 1, comma 0, right? Okay, so we're gonna have to count the amount of steps, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. Right? So let's put that in. The amount of steps here is 4. So let's check that out. Yeah. So one trick I wanna tell you is that all you can just do in this kind of question is you can just plug in the number that is in between the two lines, right? But one thing you always have to do is you have to remove wherever you see a minus, you're gonna have to remove that and put a positive instead, right? Because when you're counting the amount of steps, the amount of steps can be negative number, can't be less than zero, right? So you're gonna have to be increasing because we're counting the amount of steps, right? So that's the case here. So whenever you see a negative number in between the lines, just know that you're just gonna put in that same number, but you're gonna change negative to a positive. And then in the positive case, you can just leave it as it is, just the same thing. Yeah, so thank you very much for watching the video. I really hope it helped you out and have a nice day.